Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Okay, so we're going to start talking about mythology today. First thing you're going to do is you are going to complete the Ed puzzle in your warm-up, and it is called Veil. I'm going to type it in here for you. Veil Anansi the Spider-Man. Okay, so it's Ed puzzle form. You're going to go through, watch the video, answer the questions. It's going to be great. Okay, once you're done with that, come back and we are going to read about Anansi. Short little story about him and a few quick facts about Anansi and who he is, where he came from. He's a trickster and West African god. He often takes the shape of a spider and is considered to be the god of all knowledge and stories. He's also one of the most important characters of the West African and Caribbean folklore. The Anansi tales are believed to have originated in the Ashanti people in Ghana. So the interesting thing about this is there's a lot of spiders in mythology around the world. There's a lot of gods and goddesses that take the form of a spider, but none of them are quite like Anansi. None of them are really tricksters. So it's really interesting how these characters vary across the world. Okay, we are going to read the story called Anansi Tries to Steal All the Wisdom in the World. Anansi the spider knew that he was not wise. He was very clever and could outwit many different people, but he knew that he did not have very much wisdom. This bothered him a great deal, but he did not know what to do about it. Then one day he had a clever thought. "I know," he said to no one in particular. "If I can get all the wisdom in the village and put it in a hollow gourd, I'll be very wise indeed. In fact, I would be the wisest of all." So he set out to find a suitable gourd and then began his journey to collect the village's wisdom. He went from door to door asking everyone to give him some of their wisdom. The people chuckled at poor Anansi, for they knew that of all the creatures, it was he that needed some wisdom the most. So each put a bit in his gourd and wished him well on his search. Soon Anansi's gourd was overflowing with wisdom, and he could hold no more. But he now needed to find a place to store it. "I'm certainly the wisest person in the world now, but if I didn't find a good hiding place for my wisdom, I may surely lose it." He looked around and spotted a tall tree. "Ah," he said to himself, "if I could hide my wisdom high in that tree, I would never have to worry about someone stealing it from me." So Anansi set out to climb the towering tree. He first took a cloth band and tied it around his waist. Then he tied the heavy gourd to the front of his belly where it would be safe. As he began to climb, however, the gourd full of wisdom kept getting in the way. He tried and tried, but he could not make progress around it. Soon Anansi's son walked by. "What are you doing, father?" asked the little spider. "I'm climbing this tree with my gourd full of wisdom," Anansi replied. "But father," said the son, "wouldn't it be much easier if you tied the gourd behind you instead of in front?" Anansi sat there quietly for a very long time before saying, "Shouldn't you be going home now?" The son skipped down the path, and when he had disappeared, Anansi moved the gourd so that it was behind him and proceeded up the tree with no problems at all. When he had reached the top, he cried out, "I walked all over and collected so much wisdom that I am the wisest person ever, but still my baby son is wiser than me. Take back your wisdom." He lifted the gourd high over his head and spilled its contents into the wind. The wisdom blew far and wide and settled across the land. And this is how wisdom came to the world. Okay, so we have Anansi who wants to take the wisdom from people, right? He realizes, I'm not the most wise person in the world, so I'm going to go ask people for all their wisdom. And they also know he's not that wise too, so they give it to him. Then he tries to get this wisdom up into a safe space where he can keep it all for himself, which, if we know anything about wisdom, we know that it's not something that should be kept to yourself, right? Wisdom is something you share with people so everyone can become wise. So he's trying to hide all this wisdom, and then his son comes up, and he's struggling. Even though he has all this wisdom in the world, he still can't figure out how to get up that tree in an easy manner. And then his son comes along and is able to figure it out immediately, which clearly irritates Anansi, and he gets frustrated, tells his son to go ahead and leave, so that he can fix it and do what his son told him to without his son seeing. So he's frustrated that his son had figured that out without having all the knowledge in the world like he did. And he's like, "You know what, world? Forget this. Take back all of your wisdom." And so he releases it, and that is how all of the wisdom in the world settled across the land and got everywhere, far and wide, over the seas. So anyway, that's the story of Anansi and how he tried to steal all the wisdom in the world. Now what you're going to, well, in